So you've learned the rules of Go, and you started playing on 9x9. With some experience, you moved on to 13x13. And after all that, finally you're here. The way Go is meant to be played on 19x19. But the game sometimes still feels confusing. The game is long, many of the moves don't make any sense. So we've selected some games played mostly by intermediate players, and in this course we're going to review them together. I'll try to explain every step of the way. We'll see how these players think, why they play the moves that they play, maybe some of the mistakes that they make, and get ready. You won't be just passive observers. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions about these games. If you want to become a stronger player in Go, it's important to review your own games. If you just play, then it's nice, you're getting stronger, but sometimes you're making mistakes and you don't even realize you're making them. And then you can keep making the same mistakes for years. So to avoid this, it's important to review the games that you play. And this is exactly what we're going to do in this course. This first game that we're going to take a look at is going to be played between two 10-cube players. And from every game that we'll see, we'll try to learn something new, something different, and something interesting. So let's take a look at this first game. White kicks to take the corner. This is a very common joseki that I think you've seen. Beginners and intermediate players really like this one because it's simple. It allows white to just take the corner without many difficult variations. White jumps, and black also jumps. And now, all of a sudden, when you're expecting white to keep playing the opening, maybe go to this corner, maybe develop on this side, maybe approach this corner or this side, out of the blue, white makes an attachment. And this is actually a very, very common thing. Many players think that attachments are powerful, more powerful than ordinary moves because they seem to be more aggressive. But the problem with attachments is that you need to know the timing, you need to know exactly when to attach and how to attach, because otherwise you're just strengthening your opponent. So you need to be a little bit stronger and you need to have a little more experience to know how to attach correctly. This attachment might be a little bit premature. Instead of this, white could just approach this corner and keep playing the simple opening. Black responds, attacks the stone, white extends. Now, black could simply connect, and this will be good enough. Black's shape is strong. Now, white has to run, but there's not too much space here. But what black played in the game is actually a very good technique to remember. Black played here, which takes more points over here and denies this space to white. Now, it's going to be more difficult for the white stones to make a base, to make two eyes here. So immediately, because of this, white can't play the opening anymore. If white now goes to playing the opening, well, black's going to attack and maybe kill these stones. So white has to save them. Now, this is a little something that we talk about in many different courses, and white is about to play a hane at the head of these two stones. And probably, in most cases, it's best not to allow that. So black should probably extend and keep it simple. Now, white would still have to save these stones and keep maybe either crawling or jump. In the game, white decided to deny the base, and white now could have played this hane. But this is a little bit complicated because what if black cuts? It's a big fight. So in the game, white played the solid extension. Black takes the corner. See, black is taking points here, and these stones are not taking any territory. This is the price white has to pay for the attachment. White turns, and black makes another very good shape. Now, to help these stones, not a connection, not here, but here. This move is fixing the shape and also preparing to make this tiger's mouth in the future. White prevents that. White blocks. Atari, black connects. White is making the stones a little stronger. Black pushes again. And the same situation, you see? Again, black is about to play here, and white should probably prevent that. The only problem is that white is playing all of these moves here. They're all in the center, but they're not making any territory. So if white keeps crawling and jumping in the center, black will switch to, well, black took some points here, black took some points here. Now, if white responds, black will probably take more points here or here, and black is just ahead in the opening. In the game, white played this very beautiful shape, but then again, it's very beautiful, but not big enough. We're still in the opening, not in the middle game or end game yet. So as beautiful as it is, or maybe even as beautiful as this move is, white probably needs to find a way to play elsewhere. So white played here, black invades the corner. And also, we need to remember that after this kick, in this Joseki, this corner will never really belong to white so easily, because this kick does not guarantee the corner. It makes black a little bit stronger on the outside, but it only keeps half of the corner. Black still has a chance to invade, and black does right now. Black is trying to connect, but white connects here and doesn't really allow that. Black pushes, white can cut, and in the game, black tried saving the stone, but it doesn't really work. If white now plays from here, black will capture this one and save the stones, but white can play from the other side, and now the two black stones are captured. Black realized that and played away, attacking the corner. Another kick. White extends, and another jump. The same Joseki, except now black jumps like this, jumps high. The opening is not yet finished, so right now it's white's turn, and white should probably play away and, again, do something big. In the game, white attacks the black stones, but it's hard to attack them. Black just blocks this way, and this gives black the base. Probably black has enough space here to make two eyes. White extends. Black plays a hane, wrapping around the stones. White makes a very nice tiger's mouth shape. Black extends. So it seems like the situation is more or less settled for now. Black has become a little stronger on the outside. White has got some shape on the inside, got some territory. Now, if you're white, where would you play? Remember, it's still the opening. When you're in the opening, you should look for the big open spaces. And the biggest spaces are the one here and the one over here. But this is a corner that white can approach. Otherwise, black can enclose that corner and get a lot of territory. Now it's white's turn, so probably the best move would be to play this or this, approach the corner, and start building the top side for white. However, in the game, white continued to play locally. White played here. Let's turn the game around. You're now black. When you see this move, where do you think you should play in response to this? Did you think about maybe protecting this area, playing something here or here? Maybe a peep? No, remember, this is not really a threat. White just played a small move over here when it wasn't really necessary. We're in the opening, remember? So if white didn't take the big opening move, black absolutely should. So if it's black's turn, hey, let's take another corner. This would be amazing. But in the game, black played here. Exactly. This is a storm in a teacup. This is like two little ants fighting over a stale little breadcrumb when there's an entire picnic buffet going on right there. And all they need to do is realize that, hey, it's right over there. Let's go there and there's no need for fighting. This is an incredibly common situation to be aware of in the game, because when somebody plays a move and you think, oh, it's important, and you respond there, and then a little fight begins, but it's a very local fight over nothing. I will play out this fight for you, and you will see how much the territory is going to change, not much, in this area, while that open space is just waiting to be played. White pushes here, white blocks, white bumps here, makes 1 point. Black feels that there's some cutting points here and here, so black fixes one of them, which is usually a pretty good thing, but maybe not exactly when you have a huge opening move sitting there on the board. Now white extends here, and finally, black doesn't play over here, but takes the right side. It would have been slightly bigger to take the corner, but this is still a big opening move, so it's still great. Now take a look over here. How much territory did white make as a result of this fight? Maybe a couple of points here. How much territory did black make? Maybe these 2 points? So all of this doesn't really matter if we remember that a move like this, or this, or this is probably worth more than 10. But white is a little bit stubborn, so even though black played away, white continues. Pushes here, threatens a cut, black connects, and now this. It's pushing into the black shape, but it's an empty triangle, first of all. And also, again, remember, how much territory are you making? This should be one of the biggest questions you ask yourself at almost at any stage of the game, before you make any move in a game of Go. When you play a move here, are you really threatening black? Are you really making territory? And if not, maybe you should be playing here or here. In the game, black responded to this move with a jump, trying to protect this territory. But let's think about it. Let's say that we are willing to give up the points over here. That's not too much. So let's say that instead of this, we play this, just enclose the corner. And let's say white's going to play this to erase these points. And we ignore that move and we play here. And white plays another move over here, something like this, and completely takes these points away. Those points are gone, but now look at this. Black now adds another stone here, attacking the corner, and it feels like black is overwhelmingly leading in this game. Look at the right side. Black gets that in exchange for some small points here. This is the power of big opening moves. But in the game, black jumps, white extends, threatening this cut, white connects, white pushes again, and black makes another jump. Black takes the points, but misses a chance to play the big opening moves. And white gets a chance to play there. But instead of playing here, which is the move that probably white should play, this is the correct approach. If you remember the courses where we talked about some opening fundamentals, we said that a 3-4 stone actually has a direction. And if you approach it from this side, this is the closed side. Now black would enclose the corner, and white is locked over here with not a lot of space to develop. So a better approach is not from this side, but from here. This is the open side, which if, let's say, black takes this side, white will be able to get into the corner. This feels more natural. But in the game, white chose another attachment. So this game is a very good demonstration of how you should be very careful with attachments and how they can go terribly wrong if the opponent knows how to punish them. Black extends, white extends. And if you're black right now, let's test your shape intuition. Where would you play? This is that same classic shape that we already saw a couple times in this course. And once again, you can probably hane at the head of 2 stones, and this is the most powerful move. This is attacking white, pushing white down, and allowing black to develop on the top side. Black could probably even consider an extension. Black has taken territory on the 4th line, which is not bad. This is not really pushing white too hard, but even in this case, let's say white makes a small extension. Black kicks the base from underneath this group. White makes some kind of jump, and black develops on the top side. This feels like a very comfortable situation for black. Black takes point here, and at the top, white has a small group. In the game, however, black aggressively and correctly played the Hane. White jumps. Black pushes. You see again how much pressure white is experiencing. Now these stones have to somehow live here. They have to escape. Now this is an empty triangle once again. This is just a bit too unpleasant. So maybe white should have considered something like this or like this, a slightly different shape, which still protects against the cut. For example, here, black still cannot cut because there's a ladder. I'm talking about this ladder, like this. In the game, white connected. Black fixed the cutting point beautifully. White turns, not to be isolated here on the right side. Black makes a beautiful extension. Two attachments from white and pretty much the same mistake. One attachment over here, which allowed black to take points at the bottom and on the right. And then another attachment here, which allowed black to take more points at the top. Black has a fairly good advantage in this game right now. But all of those tiny things are not going to stop white from making a third attachment, right? Black responds, white extends, and let's check. If you're black right now, how would you respond to this? How would you defend? If you were watching this whole review carefully, maybe you remember that at the very beginning, black played a very similar move in a very similar situation. A very good response to this is to go down the first line. And now black is keeping all those points. This move is also preparing to play some kind of monkey jump later in the future in the endgame. And just like before, another possibility here is to connect. But in the game, black pushed like this. But now white gets a chance to come underneath the stones here. Black needs to extend if he wants to keep this territory. White pushes again. Black blocks. And white extends. Next, black plays here, bumps into the white stones. And this is a very bad habit. In general, you should try to avoid such moves whenever possible. Let's just look at these very random examples of bumping into opponent stones, or rather trying to cut a diagonal move. For example, here, white has two stones, a jump. But if white plays here, bumping into these stones, this is not a good idea, because now black can connect, strengthen this shape, or maybe even extend and get more territory. White has achieved nothing. In the same way, white shouldn't play here. Right now, there's still a possibility for white to invade the corner, but if white makes this exchange, black is more than happy to connect, and white got nothing out of this, black got the whole corner. So this move doesn't give black any territory, and it's not making black any stronger. Right now, white has this weak-looking group on the right, and white should absolutely invest another stone, maybe a couple of stones, to make sure that this group is completely alive. So maybe white could play something like this, slide underneath, and let's say if black responds with this to keep the points, white calmly takes the territory, and white is now alive. But in the game, white extended over here, which is normally a very good shape, but right now they're fighting over this area, which doesn't really have a lot of territory. And now, think about it. Look around the board, and where would you play as black? If I ask you this question out of context, it would be very tricky to answer. You would look around and you wouldn't know what to do. Or maybe even automatically you would do this. This is what black played in the game. But now that we've seen some variations and you know that this group is quite weak, it's only natural if black ignores this and attacks. Because if we attack the group, white doesn't have enough ice space, white's going to have to run, black is getting free points. So black should probably play something like this, and white doesn't have two eyes here anymore. If white blocks this way, this is not enough, So white is going to have to run. This is no points. Black is getting territory on the right. See? So once again, it's a matter of who is going to notice this situation, this problem here first. Black extends. White pushes in. And again. Now cut. Black has a lot of cutting points here, so black has to be careful. Atari. And another cut here. Atari. And now double Atari. So something has to be sacrificed. In this case, it's a pretty simple choice between 4 stones and 2 stones. 4 stones are better than 2, so maybe let's help the 4 stones. And in the game, black played this connection. But it's probably better to just take the stone immediately. We give up the 2 stones here, but now we don't have to think about this weakness anymore. And after white takes the 2, black could switch to attacking this group. However, in the game, black connects. White captures. Now Atari. White connects. And only now, with an extra move, black has to capture. So it would have been better to capture earlier, not to spend 2 moves on this. White pushes in. Black tries to block. White pushes. Black connects. White pushes, black connects, perfect shape, everything is solid, and white takes the 1 stone. Oof, this is so small. This is very much an endgame move. In the game, black will respond to this with a mysterious looking empty triangle. But before we see this, imagine you haven't seen this, and think, if you're black, what would you do? How would you respond to this? If you said that black should play Atari instead and actively take the whole corner, that is very nice. This is a much better shape than the empty triangle. But if you realize that black should ignore the situation altogether and just attack the white group on the outside, bravo, you've been listening well. As much as your hand just automatically wants to take a stone and play that move, you have to remember that the big thing is always bigger than something on the second line. But in the game, the mysterious sequence continues. After the empty triangle, white pushes in again, black blocks, and now white should absolutely ignore the situation and save the stones, and the position goes almost to even after this. But white captures the stone, which is not necessary, and black finally gets a chance to attack. And now black has an advantage. White blocks, but we should probably realize at this point that there is no way we're going to make 2 eyes in this area. It's just not big enough. So probably there's no other choice but to run away. Maybe white has to just jump. Black will push, will jump again, and escape and connect to these stones over here. Trying to live locally in a cramped space is never a very happy experience. So white plays here. Black descends and threatens the base again. White should run, jump faster, but white pushes and crawls. Black surrounds. Very nice. Even if black doesn't kill the white stones, this is still very nice because black is gaining more and more points on the right. White tries to get more space and very sharp point right in the middle. White has to connect. Now black blocks. This can be disconnected. Black can connect on the first line. Black responds to that. White attaches. Extends, making black stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, this tiger's mouth. White makes one eye for sure, but where is the second eye? I don't see it. Do you? Black protects, and we can probably stop here. Black is now winning by about 50 points. This is enough to comfortably win this game. The big lesson of this game is attachments can be dangerous. If you play an attachment at the wrong time or to the wrong place, maybe you will get punished. So before you reach a certain level, and if you want to just play an attachment because it looks cool or because you saw some professional play something like this, maybe don't do that. Play simple, big opening moves. Those are carefree. In this game, White played attachments 3 times, and all 3 were not successful. By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.